would begin, that would be great.
O Son of Spirit, my claim on thee is great. It cannot be forgotten. My grace to thee is plenteous. It cannot be veiled. My love has made in thee its home. It cannot be concealed. My light is manifest to thee. It cannot be obscured.
When I am down and oh my soul so weary, when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. Yvonne is from Shiprock, New Mexico, eastern part of New Mexico, from the Navajo Nation, and a little secret from that part of the United States. So thank you so much for your lovely voice and for allowing us to open this wonderful Book of Certitude session, which is from paragraph 73 to 160 with Dr. Sohrab Kourosh. A lot of you, I asked if you could go ahead and send some questions. I forwarded a few to Dr. Kourosh, but if you have more and something comes to mind, please go ahead and send it to me in chat. And Dr. Kourosh, please go ahead. Thank you and welcome.
Good afternoon, friends, and I'm very happy to be here with you today. I assume that in course of your studies using the first volume of the self-study notes for Kitab-e-Iqan, the Book of Certitude, you have already are familiar with the history of the revelation of Kitab-e-Iqan and the circumstances of its revelation and its importance among the not only the Baha'i literature but among all the religious sacred literature in being a unique and special book. You have already seen the major themes of the Kitab-e-Iqan, and to remind you about those, as Shoei Effendi in God Passes By listed these major themes of Kitab Iran. He says that it proclaims the existence of a personal God, unknowable, inaccessible, the source of all revelations, and eternal, omniscient, omnipresent, and almighty. Also, Kitab Iran asserts the relativity of the religious truth and continuity of divine revelation, affirms the unity of the prophets, the universality and of all the messengers of God, and the identity of their fundamental teachings, the sanctity of their scripture, and the twofold character of their station. And you remember that we discussed this in the self-study notes as the two important character of the revelation of the all manifestation of God as being the unity and the distinction. They are in one aspect of their revelation united, they are one, and in other aspect of their humanity and the time of their revelation and their circumstances of the society, they have distinction and differences. Also, Kitab Iran denounces the blindness and perversity of the divines and doctors of religion in every age, and cites and elucidates the allegorical passages of the New Testament, the abstruse verses of the Quran, the cryptic Mohammedan traditions, which have bred those age-long misunderstandings, doubts, and animosities that have surrounded and kept apart the followers of all the religions, and also enumerates the essential prerequisites for attaining by every seeker, every true seeker, the object of his quest. Also demonstrates the validity, sublimity, significance of the revelation of the Baal, and acclaims heroism and detachment of his disciples, foreshadows and prophesies the worldwide triumph of the revelation promised to the people of Bayan. That means the revelation that follows Bayan. You already probably have seen these themes, because when you look at the Kitab Iran, the first 23, 24 paragraphs are the generality to prepare a seeker to have a receptive heart and to really get rid of all the preconceptions. And then from paragraph 24, you see that Baha'u'llah starts to speak about the minor revelation, and talks about the chapter 24 of Book of Matthew. You know that in Christianity there are two apocalypse writings, and one is the minor apocalypse, which is the chapter 24 of Matthew, which is called the Olivet Discourse, and then the major apocalypse that is the book of Revelation. So from you notice that from paragraph 24 to paragraph almost 87, Baha'u'llah answers all the questions about the eschatology, the eschaton, and the end of the world, and the concept of resurrection, and concept of the day of the resurrection and end of the world. And then the last paragraph of the first part of Kitab Iran, Baha'u'llah turns to the followers of the Bab and reminds them of the admonition and the advice of the Bab that they should not do to the one who will God will make manifest the same thing that the followers of other religions did to him, and to be vigilant and ready to accept his revelation. But there are so many unprecedented concepts in the Kitab Iran which really makes it to stand apart from all the other religious scriptures. Many of the concepts presented in Kitab Iran are, as I said, unprecedented in sacred scriptures of the past. And some of the concepts that have been mentioned in the religious literature have been given new definition and meaning by Baha'u'llah. Baha'u'llah mentions in one of his writings that through the movement of our pen of glory, we have at the bidding of the omniscient ordainer breathed a new life into every human frame and instilled into every word a fresh potency. So Baha'u'llah, even if he uses a term or a word from the previous scriptures, most of the time he gives it a new meaning, a new definition, which is suitable for our time and our situations. Some of the unprecedented concepts in the Kitab Iran are, one of them is the revelation of a universal religion. And this is something that is unprecedented in the whole history of scripture, sacred scriptures. Presentation of the universal manifestation of God. The concept that there is only one manifestation of God, there is a universal manifestation of God. Redefining the eschatology and the eschaton. You know that eschaton is the end of time or the age of the world. So the concepts that are related to eschaton are called eschatology, that are talking about the end of world. For example, Christians, based on the chapter 24 of the Matthew, have a concept or image about the end of the world. The Muslims also have a concept or image about the end of the world. So that is their eschatology, and Baha'u'llah has revolutionized totally the eschatology of the previous religions and has resolved some of the problems that was not resolved. For example, Jews were waiting for those things to happen when Christ came. For example, like the return of Elijah with his corporeal, personal, material body. And when they didn't see it at the time of Jesus, they asked, what happened? If Jesus is Christ, why Elijah didn't show up? So Christians always had problem with this. Or the book of Joel talks about the falling of the stars or the moon or sun that not giving light, and they were expecting those to happen, and it didn't happen. And so Jews did not accept Christ. But Baha'u'llah, by explaining all those signs and giving the proper meaning to it, resolved all those. Now the Jews can understand that all those signs that they were waiting really happened, but not the way that they expected. So another concept that was unprecedented in the literature of the previous religions was the redefining the concept of divine unity, revealing and expounding the mysteries of all scriptures, attainment unto the divine presence, the essential infallibility of manifestations of God. This was another problem. The Jewish scriptures, the Old Testament, really defines Moses as a fallible person, and the Christians always believed that Moses was a fallible person. In Old Testament, there are verses that are could be interpreted as Jesus being fallible, and Muhammad also in Quran and other traditions had the notion of fallibility attached to him. But Baha'u'llah defines all of those, corrects all of those, and defines the essential infallibility of manifestation of God. He confirms the ability of manifestation of God to also perform miracles, allowing them to ask only for one. So these are something that you have already studied. These are the concepts. Most of them are discussed between the paragraph 1 to paragraph of 160. Most of these you have already encountered. Then Baha'u'llah also in Kitab-i-Iqan revolutionized the concept of religion. Although Baha'i writings indicate that the divine religions are universal, this fact is not explicitly and clearly stated in holy scriptures of the past and not understood by the followers of the past religions. Some statements in the past scriptures are indicative of the limited mission of the past manifestations and the limited scope of their religion. If you ask the followers of the Jews that what was the purpose of revelation of Moses, what do you think they will respond to that? What is, in the view of Jews, the major mission of Moses? When we go to Old Testament, we find a statement that God said to Moses, "Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt." So the Jews say that the purpose of the revelation of Moses was to bring the children of Israel out of Egypt and lead them to the land of the milk and honey, and those establishing the laws that were established in the Old Testament was incidental to this process. That means that when Moses was taking the children of Israel out of Egypt to take them to Holy Land, in the course of their travel, he had to give them laws so that to control them and lead them there. And they say that that was the purpose of the revelation of Moses, to rescue the children of Israel from the Egyptian slavery. Some of the Jesus' statements in the Gospels indicate that he considered himself as the promised Messiah of Israel, and the inclusion of the Gentile in his faith was a post-Jesus development, because in Matthew chapter 10, verse 5, he says, he sends these 12 disciples Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, "Go not into the ways of the Gentiles and into any city of the Samaritans, enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And also he, Jesus, answered, this is Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, Jesus answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So as you remember, there was a big controversy after crucifixion of Jesus between some of his disciples. Some, like Peter and Stephen and others, thought that Jesus has come only for the lost lambs of Israel, for the children of Israel, and they should follow the Judaic kosher laws and the most important law of circumcision. But then Paul comes along and he goes and teaches some Gentiles, and when they wanted to become Christian, they had this problem that they were older or middle-aged men. They had to go through circumcision, and also they couldn't follow the kosher laws. And so the first council of the Christians in Jerusalem had to tackle this problem, that Peter was saying that we have to limit our teaching to Jews, and Paul was saying that we have to go teach Gentiles. And one night Peter had this vision that God gave him a table of food, and in that table there was some pork, and God told him to eat, and he said, no, I am not going to eat this. And he understood that Jesus told him that, or God told him that you should eat this. That means that the laws or the process of the previous religion was not valid anymore. So we have to go through the new concepts. And that morning he came and agreed with Paul, and they started to teach Gentiles, and then eventually they taught all the Roman Empire and so on. So, and it was the same thing with Muhammad, that there are some verses in Quran that says that Muhammad just came to teach Arabs and Mecca and the cities around it. But Baha'u'llah talks about universality of the manifestations of God and religion of God, and says that Moses, Jesus' religion, Muhammad's religion, Buddha's religion, all of them had the potential of becoming universal because they were universal in nature. They were revealed to be universal, but that was the circumstances of the social circumstances or situation of the past, that people didn't have the capacity, or the followers' fault was that their religion didn't become universal. So the universality of religion was another concept that came in the Kitab-e-Iqan. Also, the purpose of the universal religion, when you ask the followers of the other religions, what is the purpose of Christianity, or what is the purpose of Judaism, what is the purpose of Islam, they cannot tell you what. Some of them say, oh, it's just atonement. Some of them just forgiveness of sins. But Baha'u'llah defines the purpose of religions. He says that the purpose of the universal religions is to establish unity, to spiritualize, to educate and transform the individual and society. In these, Baha'u'llah says that every religion or every sacred book is like a spiritual city. He says that in these cities, spiritual sustenance is bountifully provided, and incorruptible delights have been ordained. The food they bestow, the bread of heaven, and the spirit they impart is God's imperishable blessing. Upon detached souls, they bestow the gift of unity, enrich the destitute, and offer the cup of knowledge unto them who wander in the wilderness of ignorance. So, by the way, tonight is the Feast of Knowledge, and so Baha'u'llah has brought this. He says that in Kitab-i-Iqan there is a great statement that really deserves to be memorized. He says that is not the object of every revelation to effect a transformation in the whole character of mankind, a transformation that shall manifest itself both outwardly and inwardly, that shall affect both its inner life and external condition. For if the character of mankind be not changed, the futility of God's universal manifestation would be apparent. So he says that the purpose, the object of every revelation is to effect a transformation in the character of human beings and also the society. So it's not just coming to forgive our sins that, by the way, the concept of original sin, which was a man-made concept, heavily affected the psyche of Christians for 2,000 years and caused many people to really forsake their religion because of that. Baha'u'llah says in the hidden words that God says that I created you noble, not a sinner at the birth, you know. And these are the concepts that Baha'u'llah discusses. He also revolutionized the concept of eschatology. And as I mentioned, eschatology is defined as the end of the time or end of the age. Historically, doctrine or set of beliefs that the end of the time or end of the world and resurrection and life and death and judgment, this Baha'u'llah has defined the end of the world. He defined what the eschaton is, and he defined what the judgment is and resurrection is. And then he also helps a lot of people to understand the subtleties and secrets of the books of the past. I don't want to take too much of time. Oh, we are getting towards the end. I want to stop here and give you a time to ask questions, but I was so excited to discuss with you the new concepts and concepts that are found in Kitab-i-Iqan and how it revolutionized the theology and the concept of religion. And I'm so happy that you are studying it. By the way, the second part of the Kitab-i-Iqan, the part 2, you know, Baha'u'llah has a pedagogical concept that, like the present scientific articles, when somebody writes an article, they first put an abstract. What are they going to talk about, or what are they going to discuss? Then they will go into the body of that, and at the end, they also cover what they have discussed. And Baha'u'llah has been doing this. In Kitab-i-Iqan, the beginning of the first part, he, in 2 paragraphs, says what he wants to discuss. In 99 paragraphs after that, he discusses the whole body, and the last paragraph, he concludes and gives the essence of what he discussed. And also part 2 starts with an abstract of what he wants to discuss. And in 100 and 50 paragraphs afterwards. He discusses what he wants to discuss, and then he gives the conclusion. And then the rest of paragraphs are, he's talking about the religion of the Bab and the followers of the Bab and what has happened, and proves the divinity of the Babi revelation and the Bab's station and manifestation of God. I'm sorry that it took too much of time.
No, not at all. Actually, I know we all appreciated that. I do want to ask a question that has to do with paragraphs 152 and 153. And this is from Ruhi Sha'iri. She wanted to learn a little bit about resurrection, because this is what basically those paragraphs touched upon. And she just wants to know where it says there will be a day of judgment when our bodies will rise up. So wanted to get your take on that, and to coincide with that, you know, a lot of the friends have your study notes for volume 1, and if you can also let us know when will your volume 2 be available. I know previously you said December, but just want to see if there's a possible earlier update.
I can send a part of volume 2 that I discussed, 152 and 153, paragraph 152 and 153, that you can share it with the friends. But it is a kind of extensive subject that I prefer to send it to you and you can share it with them. Also, the whole book, the part 2, the volume, the second volume that is coming hopefully by December. I've been waiting for the National Spiritual Assembly's Review Committee to send me the review of the manuscript, and they have been delaying, but I hope by December we will have the book published, because it's all ready. As soon as the review comes, we can go ahead and start the publishing. But when I covered up to the paragraph 202, the book came already to 560 pages. So I thought that if I add the rest of them, the book will be too big, and so I decided to publish the volume 2, and then there would be a volume 3 for the paragraph 203 to paragraph 290.
Wow. Okay, great. At least that's something we can all look forward to. Okay, friends, if you could please use your raise your hand feature, and feel free to ask Dr. Kourosh your questions directly. If anyone has any questions, please do so. Dalton, please unmute yourself. And we're referring only to paragraph 73 through 160. Okay, so the questions should pertain to paragraph 73 to 160, because Dr. Kourosh will be joining us again on December 16th, and we will discuss 161 and onwards. And of course, next week in class, we're going to do the next 10 paragraphs or 9 paragraphs. Dalton?
Yes, in that case, paragraph 76, at the bottom of paragraph 76, is this wonderful quote that I've been saying for years. Cling unto the robe of the desire of thy heart, and put thou away all shame. Bid the worldly wise be gone, however great their name. There's no reference. Is this a hadith or a saying of the imams, or is there Rumi or something? That's one question. And pertaining to that, I would like to see it in the original Arabic, vocalized, so that I could memorize it.
Okay, if you go to paragraph 76 in my book, the self-study notes for the
Yeah.
Kitab Iran, that I have shown that this is from Ibn Faris. Ibn Faris was a very famous Arab poet that is also, he was a mystic, and he was very well known as the highest, more famous and highest poet in the Arabic language. And Baha'u'llah several times has quoted his a line from his poetry. And Ibn Faris, I have given a short introduction to him. It's note number 330. I have
Yeah, it's on page 395, Dalton.
yes.
Got it right here.
Okay.
And I've given a very short biography of Ibn Faris.
But what about, now I have the, I have Al-Kitab al-Iqran right here in the Arabic.
Yes.
I can't find what page it's on.
Okay, I'll tell you what page it is on, 76. Yeah, it is, it's on page 46 of the Farsi Kitab Iran. And it says, تمسك بأزيال الهوى وأخلق الحياة وخلى سبيل الناسكين وأنجلها.
Okay. Is that the same in the Arabic? Because this is the Arabic.
Yeah, this is in Arabic.
Okay.
And it is this book that you have is the original Kitab Iran in Farsi, but that line of poem from Ibn Faris is in Arabic, and it is in Arabic here. تمسك بأزيال الهوى وأخلق الحياة وخلى سبيل الناسكين وأنجلها.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. LeBlanc, was that you raising your hand? No? Okay. Anyone else have a question? Okay. All right. Well, this is good then. So everyone will make their feast on time. So Dr. Kourosh, thank you so, so much. We are eagerly waiting to get your book, and then we're going to continue studying as we do every week. And I love that tonight was Feast of Knowledge. And, and thank you, everyone. So yeah, have a wonderful evening.
Okay, see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.